Okay, Israel Wake Up. This is our Wednesday night class, the 17th of February, 2021. What the lesson is going to be for later on in the class is going to be what does China have to do with the end times. But right now we're going to do our moment of silence for creating the Lord of hosts and all that they're doing within the earth and heaven and on the earth to bring about our deliverance from our land of our oppressors. And we're going to do a prayer. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servant David and Solomon and Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. You possess the power to turn us, O Lord, for we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, your testimony, and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord. Hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. I'm going to read the Psalms right quick. So Psalms 113. God's mercies are many. Praise ye the Lord. Praise, O ye servants of the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord from this time forth and forevermore. From the rising of the sun to the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised. The Lord is high above all nations, and his glory above the heavens. Who is like unto the Lord, our God, who dwelleth on high, who humbleth himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth. He raises up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the needy out of the dunghill, that he may set him with princes, even the princes of his people. He maketh the barren woman to keep house, and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. So that was Psalms 113. Is God's mercies are many. Okay. With that being said, I got a little video here. So what would happen to the U.S. Before 2025? I thought it was kind of interesting, so that's why I played it.
Hey, do you remember yourself 10 years ago? The world around you was very different from now, wasn't it? No wonder. The 21st century is the age of rapid technological progress, and we're advancing at a mind-blowing rate. So, what do you think our world will look like by 2025? It's only a little bit more than 5 years from now, but by various accounts, it's going to be really exciting in 5 years. Let's see. Solar panels will beat fossil fuels in energy output, becoming the largest source of energy on the planet. Researchers from Thomson Reuters are sure this will happen because of new and modernized materials. With those, solar panels will be able to absorb much more sunlight, and even when it's overcast. Augmented and virtual reality will become a thing. Today, it's a pretty new and raw technology. But 5 years from now, it will already be something everyone uses in their everyday lives. For example, you'll be able to have a virtual tour around a hotel before booking a room in it. Or how about taking a good look at 3D models of all goods in a store before adding them to your cart? Handy. Speaking of augmentations, people themselves will become enhanced. Microchips embedded into your skin instead of a paper or plastic ID. Bionic limbs having all the functions real arms and legs possess. Implants improving the work of internal organs. You name it. By 2025, all this and more will become available to the masses. And from then on, it'll only get cheaper and more popular. The problem of traffic jams will either be solved altogether or very close to it. With the growing demand for driverless cars and even flying cars, I can't wait. The human factor will decrease dramatically. And since it's the main reason why traffic congestion even exists, big cities will finally enjoy relatively free roads and we'll all be able to get things done on time. Can't wait for that. By the way, gasoline fuel would become a fading memory by 2025. Electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles will push gas-powered ones further and further out of the market. Also, solar-powered cars will probably emerge, gradually replacing all the rest. Just imagine a car that only requires sunlight and some time to charge before you can go wherever you please. No more running out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. The Internet of Things, or IoT, will be omnipresent. Smart homes, smart offices, whole smart buildings, literally everything will be connected with everything else, separated only by closed internal networks. Living alone, yet coming home from work with a hot dinner and a clean house will become a reality. Everything will be done automatically, following just a few flicks of your finger over the smartphone or tablet screen. The internet will become truly global. Today, only 3 billion people in the world have constant access to the web, while the other 5 billion have either limited access or none at all. Several large companies like Google, Facebook, and SpaceX are already working together on a project that will bring the internet to everyone on the planet at speeds over 1 megabit per second. By 2025, it will surely be implemented. Artificial intelligence will make a huge leap forward. In 5 years' time, the AI will not only be able to answer simple questions and follow your commands, but it will also become deeper and more inquisitive itself. It'll probably even be able to talk to you. Not like Siri does today, but rather like Tony Stark's Jarvis. In short, it will become everyone's ultimate helper. Medicine won't stay where it is either. Even now, more and more advancements are made in this crucial field, and in 5 years, doctors will find solutions to the most important issues we're currently facing. These include a cure for cancer and AIDS, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and many other conditions that have plagued humans for a long time already. Of course, it's not as easy as it sounds, and it won't be cheap at first. But the main thing is that answers will be found, and the rest is a matter of time. Human genome will most probably be cracked, and only ethical issues will remain before genetic modifications of people become available. With those, we'll be able to get rid of pretty scary genetic conditions in children even before they're born. Scientists all over the world discuss this possibility even today. So, by 2025, the question should have a definite answer. Plastic will finally become a thing of the past. The same Thomson Reuters report I told you about earlier says that by 2025, biodegradable materials based on cellulose will replace plastic packaging for all purposes. No more littering the soil and the oceans. We'll be making a huge step towards a greener planet. And the new material will feel like plastic, by the way, so you won't even notice the difference. A little bit of sci-fi for you. Teleportation and time travel won't be a myth any longer. Scientists have recently discovered that quantum teleportation is possible, while others made an experiment where particles return to their previous state, making it seem like time traveling for them. The researchers stress that quantum experiments can't prove that these things can actually be repeated in the material world. And of course, we won't be able to go to the past or teleport around the world in 5 years' time. But the concept itself will become more real either way. With genetic modification becoming commonplace, modified crops will be grown indoors. Changes to the plant's DNA will make them more resilient and less prone to failure, while at the same time increasing the yield. The times when GMOs were up for debate will have long since gone, and everyone will be able to literally taste the progress. Robots will take over the most menial jobs on the market, making humans turn their attention to more intellectual tasks and opening new opportunities for avid learners. Everything that can be done by robots will not require human assistance any longer. However, in some spheres, these robotic workers won't be completely autonomous. They will have to be manipulated by people.
Okay.
By people, either directly or by programming them to do the required stuff. That will open up new jobs, so no need to fear that robots will take away from us and add to the unemployment rate. Speaking of learning, acquiring new skills will be much easier in 5 years than today. With the development of AR and VR, of which I told you earlier on, even the most practical skills will stop needing your actual presence in the room with your teacher. Want to learn how to drive a car? Here's a simulator right in the comfort of your home. Perhaps such a method of learning won't be too widespread yet, but it will definitely start taking over the minds of people and get more and more popular with every passing year. Machine learning will also make large progress. Things like near-perfect electronic translators, navigation systems that adapt to your driving style, and other gadgets and software will make our everyday lives much easier. We'll be able to communicate with anyone we want almost without the language barrier and do our routine stuff quickly and without any discomfort. And it's all thanks to clever machines that teach themselves off their surroundings and the decisions taken, either by humans or around them, or by the machine itself. 5G mobile internet connection will be a common thing in most technologically advanced countries and cities. With 4G, it takes up to an hour to download a movie from the web. 5G takes it to a whole new level, downloading the same movie in just a few seconds. The connection speed of this network is simply astounding, and it allows all kinds of things to be done, from real-time broadcasting of sports events, like it was done during the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang in 2018, to long-distance manipulation of robot surgeons by actual doctors. Blockchain will become the preferred method of transferring money and valuable assets between people and organizations. You must have heard about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Those are based on the blockchain technology. In short, it allows you to get rid of the middleman while transferring your money, making the operation secure and direct. For example, when you make a transfer from card to card, your bank plays the role of that middleman. It tracks all your transactions and can block your account if you do something it thinks is suspicious. With blockchain, nobody but you knows of your operations, which makes it pretty awesome. You know your money is always in your hands until you spend it. And finally, entertainment will become even more diverse with growth and popularity of space tourism. Right now, entrepreneurs like Richard Branson and Elon Musk are only getting ready to launch their first space tours, and they'll only be affordable for the wealthiest. But by 2025, the cost of it will slowly start to decrease as the whole process will become more easily performed. I'm not saying we'll all be able to see the stars firsthand. It'll still be very expensive, but it will be a beginning. And who knows, maybe in another decade, we'll be riding rockets into orbit like we fly in airplanes today. How about you? What do you think will happen in 5 years' time? Let me know down in the comments. Hey.
Okay. Any comments?
And at the beginning of the video, they were saying that we can look for those changes in the healthcare industry by 2025.
Right.
That's 4 years.
Okay. Biden.
Wow.
In
Yes.
the Biden's administration.
Yes.
But the first thing stuck out to me was Africa. all this stuff right here we talking about, they already saying implemented in Africa.
Right.
Because Akon, he already doing the solar thing.
Right.
So you know, actually, with the solar stuff, they talking about Africa gonna be ahead of America because we bogged down with old technology.
And he got that crypto in the making too. So he,
Exactly.
you know, right.
All that's pointing toward Africa. It ain't pointing toward here. Yeah, that's something. And then, and like I said, they keep telling you over and over again that 85 to 90% of the population gonna be in Africa, in that area, by 2030.
2030. Yep, they did. Yes.
So we already see it. You know what's way ahead. They through this place. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. Anybody else got any comments? Okay. I got another video. This is
Hold up, I got shalom.
yeah.
So, do y'all think the Earth's still a ball, or y'all? Because in the Bible it says that it's stationary, and he says that it's has four corners. A ball doesn't have four corners, and he says that it's immovable. You can't move it. It sits on four pillars, and he separates the waters from the earth from the waters of the heavens with a firmament. That means there's a dome above us. We can't get out of here.
Okay.
And all these other planets, I don't even think there's other planets.
Okay. So what you think?
I think
you think it's a flat Earth?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the flat Earth is to like throw you off. Because when you think of flat, you just think of like something flat, but it's like I think it's all leveled. It's all leveled, and then it has like a firmament over it, and then that's why the sky is blue, because there's water above the dome, and that's where the flood waters came from too.
Right. Yeah. I've been tapping around with that. You know, you can kind of see it, but you know, I'm still tapping around with it. Yeah. You know, but like I said, these people, they done lied about everything else, and that you can't take that out the equation. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right. Anybody else? Okay, play this other video. Listen, but I mean, like I said, what I'm doing, these videos I'm playing is, you know, they speaking. You know, you can see what's happening with what's going on in the world stage and what's going on with America and with Africa.
Is the San Francisco Bay Area. It has been one of the biggest economic hubs of the world for the last 50 years. In fact, if this region of just 18,000 square kilometers were to be its own country, it would have the 19th largest economy in the world, ahead of countries like Switzerland, Taiwan, Sweden, Belgium, and the United Arab Emirates. The Bay Area has been one of the fastest growing regions in the United States for nearly half a century. But then something changed. You see, the Bay Area, along with many other cities around the world, are going through drastic times right now that could spell the end of cities as we know them. The year is 1957. A Nobel Prize winner named William Shockley had recently moved to Mountain View, California, and started a company called the Shockley Semiconductor Company. And he started this company because he had come up with an idea to build transistors out of silicon instead of germanium. That would end up being a revolutionary idea for the time. So the Shockley Semiconductor Company began making the first modern-day transistors that would go on to be used in every computer for the rest of the 20th and 21st century. But there was a problem. William Shockley rubbed a lot of his employees the wrong way, so 8 of these employees left the company and went on to start their own semiconductor company in the area called Fairchild Semiconductor, which was a company based around the exact same technology that William Shockley invented. For years afterwards, employees from the Fairchild Semiconductor Company and Bell Labs continued to innovate in Northern California by inventing the integrated circuit and eventually the microprocessor in 1964. And it was after this invention that the world as we know it and the Bay Area would change forever. You see, after the invention of the microprocessor, tech companies started popping up left and right around the same area in Northern California. For example, Intel and AMD were two of the first multi-billion-dollar tech companies to be founded in what is now known as Silicon Valley. Then soon after that, in the early 1970s, two 20-something guys in the area named Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs heard about this new chip technology in the area. So they started to use these new chips in something that they called the Apple I. And after their startup company called Apple generated an IPO value of $1.3 billion, and after seeing the success of now dozens of massive semiconductor companies in the Bay Area, venture capital and tech companies began spreading throughout the Bay Area in hopes that their startup tech adventure would become the next Intel or Apple. What followed was one of the craziest economic experiments in history. For example, Oracle was founded in 1977 in Santa Clara, Seagate was founded in 1979 in Cupertino, Adobe was founded in 1982 in Mountain View, Autodesk was founded in 1982 in Mill Valley, Cisco was founded in San Francisco in 1984, McAfee in 1987 in Santa Clara, and dozens of other companies were founded in the late 70s and early 80s that are currently worth billions of dollars today. And keep in mind that all of these companies were all located within about 150 kilometers of each other. And as a result of this economic and technological explosion in the area, the city would go on to change forever. You see, as these startup companies like Apple and Cisco grew, they needed to hire more people and pay them well for their highly skilled labor. So the Bay Area in the 1980s saw a massive increase to its average income. But because of this rapid increase in income and a lack of supply of things like residential housing and commercial spaces, the cost of living shot through the roof. In fact, from 1984 to 1990, the median housing cost increased by just under 150%, and this trend was far from over within the Bay Area, because the 1990s issued a new age of tech companies called internet companies. It was during this time where eBay, PayPal, Google, Facebook, Tesla, Uber, Twitter, and dozens of other companies were founded within this 18,000 square kilometer area. In fact, if you were to look at a list of the largest tech companies in the world, you would see that on any given day, nearly half of them are located within the Bay Area. So because of this giant influx of tech companies, we saw a rapid increase to the cost of living within San Francisco and the Bay Area, and it kept climbing to a point where from the years 1986 up until 2016, Trulia reported that the median price of housing had increased by an astounding 557%. And if that wasn't enough, here's another crazy stat. In the United States today, if you were to earn $192,000 per year as a household, you would be considered amongst the top 5% of income earners in the country. Yet, if you were to make $192,000 per year in San Francisco, you would be considered middle class to maybe upper middle class, depending on which region of San Francisco that you live in. If you were to take into account that the median price of a detached house is now just over $1.68 million, then you would see that if you were to make nearly $200,000 per year in the Bay Area, you likely wouldn't be able to get approved for a mortgage to purchase an average home because a $200,000 a year income is just not high enough to buy an average house in San Francisco. In fact, in 2019, the average rent for a one-bedroom, 500 square foot condo in San Francisco was a whopping $3,600 per month. But that was last year, and this is today. You see, in the last 6 months, the average one-bedroom rental has dropped by an astounding 11.8% in San Francisco and is continuing to fall. We have also seen residential vacancy rates jump from 3.9% to 6.2%, and commercial vacancy rates go from 5.4% to 9.8%. And what this all means is that San Francisco, for the first time in its history, is seeing people and businesses leave the city. And there are several reasons as to why this is. The first of which is that companies like Facebook, Twitter, Square, Slack, and Google all announced that they would allow for many of their employees to work from home for at least 1 year and potentially forever going forward. The second reason is that one of the attractive things about living in a city like San Francisco is that it always has tons of events going on, lots of places to go, and many shops that you can walk around to within a few minutes of your residence. But after the lockdowns, many of those things have disappeared virtually overnight. And lastly, the cost of living combined with the previous reasons has made many city dwellers rethink about where they want to live. So remember how I said that the average home in San Francisco costs about $1.68 million? Well, if you were to drive just about an hour and 20 minutes north of San Francisco to Sacramento, you would find that the average home price is a much more affordable $395,000. And because of this affordability, Sacramento has actually seen a real estate boom in the last 6 months. And all this means is that many of the workers that are now able to work from home are choosing to leave the expensive cities that they live in order to live a more affordable lifestyle. I mean, that same household that makes $192,000 a year in San Francisco could potentially buy a mansion in Sacramento, or they could just buy an average home in Sacramento and pay it off in about 4 years. So while San Francisco real estate prices have dropped over the last 6 months, areas outside of San Francisco have actually seen their real estate prices increase by a whopping 4.8%. And this trend isn't just being seen in San Francisco. It is being seen throughout many cities in the United States and the world. I mean, New York City saw its average sale price fall by a whopping 17.7% since February. Downtown Los Angeles has seen only a 2.5% drop in real estate prices, but it also experienced a 42% drop in the amount of condo sales compared to this time last year, and cities about an hour outside of Toronto have seen a whopping 40% increase in home sales compared to this time last year. Essentially, many middle to upper middle class individuals are working from home now and are choosing to get a 2,000 square foot house in the suburbs with a $1,600 mortgage rather than paying $2,000 in rent for a 900 square foot condo in the city. But it's just not the middle class that is leaving, it is also the top income earners in the world as well. You see, when you have money and live in a high tax, densely populated state like California or New York, and your entire state gets locked down, then you might start to think about moving. And that is what is happening across the world. In fact, the fastest growing real estate market in both the UK and the United States is for homes that are priced above $6.5 million. Now, on the surface, this might sound like it would only have a mild effect on cities, but the ramifications might be much larger than you think.
Okay.
It's a fact. In the new economy, average people are becoming.
So, any comments on that? I mean, like I was saying before, what you see is a slow demo job happening with around the world. They're doing it they're doing it undercover. With they got us focusing on they got us focusing on the coronavirus and all that, but they slowly sawing the bottom out from under America. Like I said, when you pay attention to all these videos and what they're saying, you can see where everything is headed back toward to the Middle East, Africa and the Middle East in that area. It's these bankers. They behind it. They controlling it. They dictating everything. They control the flow of the money. And another thing you have to understand too is they want to rule the world. That's what Hitler was, an Edomite. And what they want to do is rule the world from Jerusalem. So, like I said, so much stuff going on. Nobody ain't focusing on Israel, but they want to rule the world. The objective is they want to rule the world from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. They already have all the artifacts to go into the temple and all that. So you got to keep that in mind. And David's throne, when you understand what happened, David's throne is in Great Britain. That's why those Windsors and the people that's over there, the royal family over there, saying that they can trace their ancestry back to the pharaohs and to the kings of Israel. That's because of when Alexandria died, one of the generals that took over Egypt was Ptolemy. The 29th dynasty is Macedonian. The rest of them was Egyptians, and they had giants ruling one time, and then they had those men from the south put whatever they could put Phaut. They had those men ruling. They had giants ruling, and they even say they had extraterrestrials at one time ruled. They kind of put Akhenaten as extraterrestrial, but anyway, that last dynasty, the 29th dynasty, was the Ptolemaic dynasty, and they was ruling in Egypt, and they also was ruling in Judea through Herod's lineage. So, like I was saying before, they said they shook their finger at the Most High in Malachi, and he told them he's gonna. They had stolen the land of Israel, and the Lord of hosts was telling them that I'm gonna judge you. You know, just like Israel. Let's look at that right quick. There's some people that may not heard this. So, if you go to Malachi right quick, so it's the bankers. That's what you have to understand. They're the ones controlling all the money. They're the ones behind this, the Bitcoin and all the stuff you see that we're going to be dealing with today. They even behind the rise of China. So we're in Malachi. Okay. Malachi chapter 1. Malachi verse 1 says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, when as thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and I laid his mountain and his heritage to waste for the dragons of the wilderness, right? So he was, you know, this is one of those cover-ups that they didn't cover up with it on us. So he says in verse 3, I hated Esau, and I laid his mountains and his heritage to waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So you wouldn't assume it's in Israel what he's talking about, but we're gonna keep reading. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Desolate places. And but one desolate place that's in Daniel. That's in Daniel. When he the abomination that make it desolate. So let's look at it. Okay. So it says, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places, right? Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. 5, and your eyes shall see. This ain't happened yet. Your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the borders of Israel. So it's in Israel. So they was, when he told them that, they was in Israel. They had stolen land of Israel from Israel when they was ran out and went to the West Coast. They occupied the land. So they stole the land of Egypt from the Egyptians through Ptolemy, and they stole the land of Israel through Herod. So that's why Queen Elizabeth can say that she can trace her lineage back to the kings of Judah and the pharaohs. That's why she can say that. So anyway, he lets us know that when he judged them, he's gonna judge them in Israel. How? Ezekiel 37, the army that he's gonna raise up. I keep showing you that over and over again. He's an army. He already promised our forefathers he's gonna raise them up out of their graves. And they're gonna be like him. Let me read that. Zechariah chapter 12. Zechariah chapter 12. It's the future deliverance of Jerusalem, starting at verse 4. In that day, says the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and I will smite every horse of the people with blindness, and the kings of Judah. So when you got to understand all the kings in First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles, they dead. But he's telling them right here they're gonna be alive. He's gonna resurrect them. So and the kings of Judah shall say in their heart, they are alive. He done resurrected them. The inhabitants of the Jerusalem shall be my strength, in the Lord of hosts their God. In that day will I make the kings of Judah like a heath of fire. That's what he is. He was Most High created him. He created him from fire, from himself. So among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheath, and they shall devour all the people round about on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. And the Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them, that's us that's alive, shall be as David. David was a mighty man, but the ones he resurrect, and the house of David, that's all the kings that's in First and Second Chronicles, First and Second Kings, shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. That's the fire. They're gonna have resurrected bodies, right? So let's look at that right quick. Since I don't want to give you half of the story, I'll give you the rest of it. Joel chapter 2, starting at verse 1, says, "Blow your trumpet in Zion." So every time they blow a trumpet in Israel, it's a sound and alarm. So what this trumpet right here is being blown is the day of the Lord, and he's resurrecting the children of Israel out of their graves. In Ezekiel 37, "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness, of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people." See that? A great people and strong, that have not been the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the year of ministration. That's the people I just showed you in Zechariah chapter 12. It says, "A fire," that's because they like the angel of the Lord, "a fire devoured before them, behind them a flame burneth. The land is as a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as the horsemen shall they run. Like a noise of chariots on top of the mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devour the stubble, as the strong people set in battle array." It's an army. Ezekiel 37. "Before their face the people shall be much pain. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the walls like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the earth, in the city, and they shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses, and they shall enter in at the windows as a thief. And the earth shall quake before them, and the heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining." So this is what we're going to use right here to run the Israelites, the Edomites out. That's what he's talking about. So what I want to show you right here is how the typology and the plagiarism in it. So if you go back to what JC said, he said the sun and the moon and all this going to stop shining when he come back. But we see right here in verse 9, it says, "They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the walls. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in the windows like a thief." This is in Jerusalem. "The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining." See that? So this is where they got it from. We already know JC ain't coming because he's an idol. So they took all this right here, what's going to happen when the Most High resurrect his army, and put it over there on JC when he come back. Okay? So with that being said, let me give, so I wanted you to understand that. So that's the reason why you see everything all this is going to happen over there in the Middle East. That's why the Most High said he's going to make these Illuminati bankers look like fools, because they going right back over there where he going to do his thing at. He dictating what they doing. They think they dictating what the world and all that, but they dictating what he want them to do. So with that being said, you see how, like I say, it's a slow demo job with these cities. They slowly breaking everything down. They slowly, breaking the United States down, because they want to run the people, especially African Americans, to Africa. They're making America look bad, and they're making putting Africa up on the top of a shining hill for everybody looking toward Africa. You know, so you gotta understand what's going on. So and check this out. This Biden did this the other day. Okay, my bad. Okay. Yeah, he was just cursing out some of the people in the Black caucuses, and at the same time, he's telling Africa this.
Hello fam, welcome to the African Diaspora News channel. I am Wangil Dalalam bringing you this report. Today's report is about Biden. Biden officially addressed AU and he says he can't wait to rebuild a relationship with the AU and support and help with whatever the AU might need. Let me show you his video that he posted on the White House Twitter account. We'll come back and discuss.
Hello everyone. I'm honored to send the best wishes of the people of the United States in advance of the 34th African Union Summit. This past year has shown us how interconnected our world is, how our fates are bound up together. That's why my administration is committed to rebuilding our partnership around the world and re-engaging with international institutions like the African Union. We must all work together to advance our shared vision of a better future, a future of growing trade and investment that advances prosperity for all our nations, a future that advances lives of peace and security for all our citizens, a future committed to investing in our democratic institutions and promoting the human rights of all people, women and girls, LGBTQ individuals, people with disabilities, and people of every ethnic background, religion, and heritage. To reach this future, we also must confront the serious challenges we face. That includes investing more in global health, defeating COVID-19 and working to prevent, detect, and respond to future health crises, and partnering with the African CDC and other institutions to advance health security. Raising our climate ambitions and ensuring developing nations can mitigate and adapt to climate impacts that are already causing pain. And engaging in sustained diplomacy in connection with the African Union to address conflicts that are costing lives all across the African continent. None of this is going to be easy, but the United States stands ready now to be your partner in solidarity, support, and mutual respect. We believe in the nations of Africa, in the continent-wide spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation. And through the challenges ahead, although they're great, there is no doubt that our nations, our people, the African Union, were up to this task. I hope I can be with you next time in person. I want to thank you, though. Thank you. May God bless you all.
As you saw, Biden is really bringing in a different tone than Trump. When it comes to Africa, as you know, Trump was addressing African countries as a shithole countries, and Biden is definitely taking the diplomatic route, and he's being really careful with the way he addresses the countries, and he's really being a diplomatic leader. We haven't seen that from Trump for about 4 years, which is why a lot of countries, as you remember, celebrated Biden when he won. A lot of countries, especially African countries, they were excited because Trump was not giving the respect people wanted and needed, especially from a leader that is running the most powerful nation. So it was not a shock that African countries were excited for the change. I remember even in Ethiopia, because Donald Trump, remember, I did a report on this last time when he threatened Ethiopia and talking about Egypt might blow the dam or something. Ethiopians really were not liking that comment. And then once Trump left power, they were actually hooting when they announced that it's Joe Biden that is going to be the next president. There was hooting, people were shouting and screaming on the streets of Ethiopia, excited. But the one thing I told them was, he might be a different leader, still the leader of the US, not your leader. So you really have to be sure that they're going to be on your side. They just flow wherever it goes. And tomorrow Biden might say, I'm with Egypt. So that they'll move me. It doesn't matter at the end of the day if it's Biden or Trump or Ethiopia. I didn't think there would be a difference if it was Biden or Trump. Maybe I was wrong, because now the way he's addressing them, the AU, and the way he's being diplomatic shows me that at least he's going to take that, politician route. I'll tell you what you want to hear. At least he's telling us what we want to hear. Behind closed doors, who knows what kind of action they will take. But so far, he seems to be careful with the way he moves when it comes to foreign countries and his relationship with other countries. We'll see, I guess. Anyways, guys, do let us know down below what your thoughts are. Do you think?
Okay. Anybody got any comments?
Shalom, shalom. Yeah, it's not surprising that Biden now has the very word Africa in his mouth, because he knows the plan. He knows in which direction they're going, and he's a part of, the friendly extension from America to Africa, because he knows the plan. So it's not surprising, but I mean, he just comes forth with all those other entities, particularly, his concern for the LGBTQ queer and all that. I mean, they kind of get us going with hope that they are going to address our issue. But at the end of the day, a lot of other stuff is thrown into the bowl with it.
Right, exactly. That's business as usual. All of them do that. It's like Obama promised all this and that, and then when he got in there, he went right to the agenda, like Biden doing. He's going right behind the Latinos.
Exactly.
Same thing Obama did. So they got hit. Like when you understand what's really going on, like I was saying a couple of classes back, was when you understand who the Israelites are, they can't afford to give us nothing. They can't afford to give us nothing. I mean, it's gonna have to be the Most High gonna have to beat it out of them. So they ain't gonna, they can't afford. I mean, like I was saying, look at when we did the little class on One Night in Miami. I mean, you take what other country or what other nation or race of people got 4 dynamic dudes like that? And that's just 4, happened to be 4 that was in Miami. Look at all the dynamic people that we have in our country, and our people that come up out of from among us. So they can't afford to give us nothing. They can't afford it. They can't even afford to give us no land, or just leave us alone and go off somewhere. Because we directly connected to heaven. We don't need nothing from them. We just need them to leave us hell alone. That's all we need.
Right.
But as soon as they leave us alone, angels are gonna start showing up. You go to moving stuff around and building stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And even though in our own spirits, because of everything that we have been through, the degradation, just the horrific things they've done to us, we may not, a lot of our people may not understand that we're going to be just fine without them. You understand me? But like you say, once they depart from us, leave us alone, it's over.
Right.
Everything that we do for them, we're sheriffs, we're judges. We, what I'm saying? We take care of their businesses. What I'm saying? They go on vacation. They got us take care of their business. So we can do that for them. We definitely can run a nation for ourselves with the Lord of hosts.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. We very capable. Like I said, every nation that comes on the scene, Egypt came and got us. We needed. Then they got used us to build their system up. Back to Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadnezzar, and they came, took the choice of the people, the scribes and the wise men and the carpenters and the mighty men, and took them to Babylon, build up Babylon up. And they did the same thing when they came and got us from the West Coast. And now they get ready to do the same thing again with taking us to Africa to build up Africa. So with that being said, you know what I'm gonna do right here. The lesson for the day is gonna be about what does China have to do with the end times. And so what made me focus on this today was the fact that, like I said, the Most High is a book up in heaven that Gabriel and Michael is looking on it, and that's why they're able to prophesy. That's how Michael can come down in Genesis 18 and come and appear to Abraham and tell him that in 9 months, according to the cycle of life, you're gonna have a son. This time next year, Sarah gonna have a son, and you're gonna name him Isaac, because he's looking at a book up in the book up in heaven and telling them. That's how they can prophesy. So when you understand that everything that happens on the earth, they know about it. It's like he said, it's kind of, and a leaf gonna fall to the ground that you don't know nothing about. So the narrative that's been given to us by these Edomite bankers and these Khazarians and all those people is that Jesus Christ is coming and all this, right? And that the Antichrist is coming. But all we see right now is China rising. China ain't nowhere in the it ain't nowhere in the Revelations about no China. Ain't nobody talking about China. So where is China at in prophecy? If all this, if you keep hearing all these people hollering about they want to deal with the whole book, or from Genesis to Revelation. But I mean, where is China at? China right now, we see China overtaking everything. Where they at in prophecy? You know, where they at? I mean, you know,
what son is it? Like what grandson of Japhet did they spin off of?
Well, they tied to let's go to
Because you know they be talking about the Gog Magog war, but I was like, okay, who is China? You know.
So I'm in Genesis chapter 10. Well, from my understanding of it, first of all, Most High and you know, and Lord of Hosts, they deal with signs, right? So you know, look at they. I mean, they're the only people that they got eyes like that. So you got to stop and think about that. Where they come from? So something going on with that. The Most High is you know, it's like with Cain. He took the melanin out of Cain. He took the melanin out of him to leave him white. Did he tell you? Going to read it. He tell you it's a sign. So let's look at it. It says, Genesis chapter 4, verse 10. And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto thee from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which opens her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, you gotta look past this, and like I said, and start dealing with the Most High scientists. These 7 angels and all the angels in Yahweh, they scientists. So he says, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall I be in the earth. So when you understand what he's talking about, he's saying the melanin. The reason what makes them a tiller of the ground is the melanin. It's melanin in all the animals. It's melanin in the earth. It's melanin all over the place. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna disconnect them from the earth by taking the melanin out of him. So that only means one thing: you turn him white. So 13, and Cain said, look what Cain said. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. That's because he took the melanin out of him. Sun, it's almost 150 degrees over there, whereas it might be 60, 70, 80 over here. But that sun over there boiling hot. So he can't bear that. So 14 says, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, from the face I shall be hid. He hid because everything else got melanin in it. Says that I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Why? Because he got a sign on him. He took the melanin out of him, and he over there in the area where all the people is people of color. It says 15, and the Lord said unto him, therefore whosoever slave Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest anyone find him or shall kill him. So that's a sign. The mark is a sign. He put a sign on it. That's what he deal with. The sun and the moon is for signs. So when you look at that Chinese, look at his eyes. The first thing everybody see, look at his eyes. Something going on with that. Yeah, all the other people ain't like that. There's something going on with that. So anyway, so what I think happened, like I said, the Indian, when you understand, I think it's Gibraltar Bridge, or whatever they call it, that connected South America to where the Chinese came across on that thing, and they already had black people here, called the Folsom people, and those Chinese and those Folsom people, Genghis Khan, them people came and mixed with those Folsom people. That's how you get the Indian. So what my understanding of that is that these Khazarians, they intermingle with Japhet. They part Chinese and part Japhet. That's my understanding of it. Because like I said, it's distinct differences. Will let you know that when you see that these people had to originate from somewhere else than where you originated from and where the other people originate from, because they got distinct differences. It's like a tiger and a bear. You can't say that the tiger and the bear got the same blood and they came from the same, because they both animals. They got different origins because they look at their characteristics, how they look. They originated from totally different places. You can't stick them together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, when you look at that Chinese, he's totally different than anybody else. And then on top of that, he's ancient. That's why so many of them. However he came about, he been here a long time, because look at his population. As a matter of fact, at one time they was ruling. They was ruling the world, that known world in that area for a long time. When during the time of the Wall of China, when the Wall of China was built, and the Silk Road and all that these Edomites trying to bring back, they was ruling. And the main reason they was ruling was by sheer numbers. It's so many of them. Right. Okay. So, like I was saying before, I want to open this up right here for a minute for a good Q&A. If somebody wanted to add a question or something, then I'm going to go into the lesson.
So, Leonard, when you say that they were ruling by sheer numbers, you're speaking of the Chinese people?
Right. They used to rule. They ruled at one time. Genghis Khan and all them, those are Asiatics. They was ruling at one time. And then on top of that, they was even now they put on faces, but they violent people.
The Chinese.
Yeah, they violent. That's Genghis Khan, and all them come from that area. That area over there, that's a mixture of Japhet, those people like they talk about the steppes, the Russian. If you look at the Russian, he got characteristics like from Chinese. They're mingle people. That area, they mingle with the Chinese, mingle with Japhet, the Khazarian. All them people got, they got European and Chinese in them. Turkish
okay,
type. You get Turkish people from. They intermingle.
Okay, when we think about Genghis Khan, was he totally black, right?
No, he's Chinese.
Oh, okay.
Asiatic.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Those are the same people that, like I said, they came down across the, I don't know if I'm saying the right landmass, but it's some kind of Gibraltar, the Strait of Gibraltar. They came through there and they came into the Americas. But it was black people here. They call them the Folsom people. They intermingle with the Chinese. That's how you get the Indian. Yeah. So anyway, anybody else got any questions? comments before we start the class? Okay, so like I was saying before, where's China at? Where's the with all that China, all of a sudden, they say that Gog and Magog is tied to Russia and China, but look at what's happening and what the prophecies that they supposedly gave us, and look at how China emerged on the scene, and pretty much they're the superpower of the world today, right now. Everybody trying to find a way to factor America into these latter days, but from the way it's going, they ain't gonna be around. They're gonna be dispersed and disintegrated because we see how fast China came up on the scene. So, like I was saying before, let's look at that right quick before we go any further. It's another one of these lies they've been told. I'm gonna show you right here. So, see behind me right here. That's the four beasts. That's the four beasts right there. Let me do this. See that? So it's four beasts right there. See that? That's the head. That's the Babylonians, Medes and Persians. It's the Greeks right here, and then it's the Romans right here. These are Romans. Ain't no four. They got, see that? They got the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 5 beasts. Ain't no 5 beasts. See, they got this part here, the toes right here is the 10 kings that's gonna come together with the Antichrist. But that ain't scripture. So the fourth beast is from right here, from the skirt down here. All this is the fourth beast. Then they go to the third beast from waist, from right here. It's the Greeks. Then the arms folded, and all this part right here is the Medes and Persians. That's like 2 arms, Medes and Persians, and the head is the Babylonians. So ain't no all this down here, the feet. This ain't no 10 toes, ain't no 5th beast. And then while we here, see this rock? They tell you this rock right here is Christ. So let's look at that right quick before I go any further. So it says right here, let's go to Daniel chapter 2 right quick. Says, I'm in Daniel chapter 2, starting at verse 34. Say 33, his legs of iron and his feet part iron and part clay, that saw it till a stone was cut out. There go the stone right here. See, a stone was cut out. There go the stone. Right? Wasn't no New Testament at the time when he wrote this. It says, thou saw till a stone was cut out without hand, which smote the image upon the feet that were of iron and clay, and break them in pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, and the silver and the gold broken into pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor, and the winds carried them away, and no place was found of them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. So just a mountain, when you start talking about mountains, it's a nation. It's a nation, race of people. So let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 15. I'm starting at verse 15. And it says, I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the vision of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them, these angels talking to him. I came near unto one of them that stood by and asked him truth. I asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, like I said, are 4. They ain't 5. Right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not 5. Ain't no 10 toes down here. That's Hellenistic stuff. So he says, 17, these great beasts which are 4 kings which shall arise on the earth. But the saints of the Most High, this is the stone right here. This is the stone. The saints of the Most High, that's Israelites, A saint is somebody that was dead and came back to life. I just showed you in Ezekiel 37, the Most High going to resurrect all the Israelites. So it says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom even forever and ever. So this stone that came out, that was cut with our hands, came out of nowhere, struck this image, and all this went away. The wind blew it away. Was Israel. But in the last days, he raised up the Israelites. I just read you that in Joel, the army, and I showed you in Ezekiel 37 and Zechariah, army that's coming. He's gonna resurrect saints of the Most High, and they're gonna come and they're gonna destroy this kingdom, and it's gonna disintegrate. So what the reason why I'm talking about this is, let me read this right quick. So it says, we're gonna keep reading. Verse 19 says, then I'm getting somewhere. I'm going to China. It says, then I would know the truth of the four beasts. Ain't no five. You're gonna know the truth of the four beasts, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth was of iron and nails of brass, which devour, break in pieces, and stomp the residue with his feet. That's the four beasts. We see that. We got the historical proof of that. What the Roman did to the earth. 20, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose looks were more stout than his fellows. So 3, when you understand what happened, 4 kings, Alexander's kingdom was divided into 4. The Roman Empire was sacked. The beast ain't no man. The beast is the beast is a system. So it's 4 systems right here. 4 systems gonna come upon the earth right here. These 4 systems, and the four beasts, when it came into existence, it existed for a while. That first dynasty was Julius Caesar, Nero, and all them. But then Rome got sacked by the Visigoths and those giants that came through the Hadrian Wall. They sacked Rome. So the beast, which is a system, you see the womb, and then it was divided into 4 parts. Then Constantine came. More stout than the other ones. He subdued 3, and he became the Roman emperor again. Brought the beast back to life, but now it's the Holy Roman Empire. That's verse 20. And the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. 3 of the kings out of the 4, after the Roman Empire was divided up into 4, Constantine subdued the 3 and became sole emperor, right? Then 21, and behold, the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. That's when he came up with the Holy Roman Empire, when he created the Council of Nicaea and brought in Christianity. He had to get rid of the Israelites. So he says, 22, until the Ancient of Days came and look at this is stone, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. That's Ezekiel 37. It's stone right here, right? It says 23. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all the other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it into pieces. So why is it diverse? The 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, think to change times, laws, and they shall be given into his hands until a time, and a dividing of time. Right? So watch this. So what Constantine set in place at the Council of Nicaea, we still dealing with it. We still serving or dealing with Sunday law. We still dealing with the Roman Catholic Church over there in Rome, in Italy. So we still dealing with what Constantine did. So 26 says, but the judgment is set, and they shall take away his kingdom, Constantine's kingdom, the dominion that he set up, to consume and destroy it until the end. And the kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heavens shall be given to the people of the saints. That's the stone. The Israelites that he resurrect. Says, and shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and dominion is an everlasting, says, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Here too is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my condemnation much troubled me, and my countenance change was in me, but I kept the matter to myself. So got to go back to these 10 right here. These 10 toes is the reason why the fourth beast is the verse is because Esau controlled him, and he controlled him with the wisdom of the Most High. He was raised by Abraham, so what he learned how to do is relocate. These 3 kingdoms up here, they had a geographical location, and they rose and they tried to, when people came up against it, they tried to defend that certain area. But we know they got taken out. But Esau came, he's diverse. This fourth beast diverse because he can pack up he know how to pack a suitcase and leave and run off and leave all that, but just take the blueprint with him, and he go and set up somewhere else. So we done seen so far 9 different incarnations of the fourth beast. It started over in Rome. That's the head of it, but it keep on relocating. It can't end it up over with can't think of the guy name, Charlemagne. You know, over in France, over there, over in France with Charlemagne. Then it ended up in Great Britain when Julius Caesar. I told you that he sent that and built that city in the middle of Britain, a Roman city, and then from there, that city was called Lytton, and today it's called London. So he built that city over there, and then colonized. I mean, then he called himself colonizing the people. It's another word, but I can't think of it. But he civilized them, civilizing them. So he built that city, and the people started coming out of the woods into the city, and he started getting them adjusted to the Roman life. And the next thing you know, that was Britain. Then Britain ruled the world. Britain is one of these nine kingdoms that he talking about, the 10 toes. Then from Britain, America left from Great Britain. It came over here. A branch came from here. They set up over here 13 colonies. Then America became powerful. What we looking at, America was the 3rd beast, the 9th beast. Now, back in the 70s, these Illuminati bankers, because there's a woman controlling them. There's a woman just decked in red that's controlling this. That's Esau. So he sent all the companies and corporations that made America great. He sent them to China back in the late 70s, early 80s, and that from there, China blew up. So what we're looking at right now is this last incarnation that's coming on the scene right now. It's already here. The 10th beast, the 10th and final beast is China. And what they doing, they the ones they ruled before. I told you the Silk Road and Marco Polo. And they coming right back now through these Illuminati bankers, and they building that same area up again, but they're doing it with AI technology, smart cities. And so when you start doing your research, you start seeing they're building smart cities all over the place, especially around I'm gonna show you that in a minute. All around Africa and Asia and all that area where China is, they're building smart cities. It's called the Road and Belt Initiative. So that's what's happening. That's what China coming to prophecy at. You know, but they're not telling you that because when they concocted all this, they're trying to lead you to JC. You know, but like I said, what we have to look at is what we putting our eyes on, because it's been prophesied. So let me give you that right quick, then we're gonna go into the lesson. So I was telling you about this book that's in heaven, and a New Testament attached to it. New Testament attached to this book. So I'm in Daniel. Daniel chapter 10. I'm starting at verse 19, 10 and 19. And said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong. And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened, and said, let my Lord speak, for thou hast strengthened me. Then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee, and now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia. Let me break this down. So Gabriel talking. So we're gonna make this all the way plain. Kill two birds with one stone. It's Gabriel talking. So go back to 19, and he said, 19 says, and said, "O man," Gabriel talking to Daniel, "greatly beloved, fear not, peace be unto thee. Be strong, yea, be strong." And when Daniel said, "And when he had spoken unto me, I was strengthened." And then Daniel said, "Let my Lord," see this? Lowercase. Yeah, the Most High ain't missing the beat. So he's lowercase. Cause why is that lowercase? Because he ain't the same as Michael. Michael's the Lord is capital L. So he's one of the six. So it's lowercase. So let's keep going. "For thou hast strengthened me." Gabriel strengthened him. 20. Then said he, Gabriel said to Daniel, "Knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now will I return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I am gone forth, lo, the prince, lowercase, of Greece shall come. But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures is true." This is the book I'm talking about in heaven that they're looking on. That's how they can prophesy it and tell us what's going to happen in the future, because the book up in heaven, that Yahweh concocted. Gabriel and Michael, the only two looking at it. So he says, "But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth," right? Ain't no lies in that book. So he says, "And there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael L, your prince." That's why they got Gabriel over the lowercase, because he ain't over Israel. Michael is. Michael over Daniel. Michael the one sent Gabriel to him. So let me read it again. "But I will show thee that which is noted in the scriptures of truth, and there is none that holdeth with me in these things but Michael, your prince." So you have to ask yourself, why would he say that? It ain't but one reason he said that, because of what I'm showing you. So, like I was saying before, so when you understand all that, we're gonna dive into the class. Let me open this back up. Okay. So, what I'm gonna show you right here now is what's going on around a lot of people. They don't understand. They're not peeping it out and seeing what's really going on. So, let me see what I'm gonna do. Okay. I'm gonna go to the first video. These short videos, it's about 4 of them, but they're short. Okay.
It was a special year for the United States. It was the year they won the Spanish-American War, they gained temporary control of Cuba, and attained a strong influence across nations throughout the globe. It was the start of the USA being the superpower nation of the world. Since then, they have grown and enjoyed a relatively strong period of being the nation at the top. However, fast forward to 2020, and it's been over 100 years of dominance by America. However, there is a nation that is quietly building its economy, its power, and its influence across the globe, and we're coming to a stage where they're almost as big as the United States. I'm talking about China, of course. Okay, so let's look at some hard, factual data. The best way to measure how strong a country is becoming is through GDP growth. Gross domestic product, it basically measures how much a country is producing in any single given year. Now, if we go back over the past 10 or so years, we can see that China's economy is growing at a much higher rate of knots compared to the USA's. You know, in 2019, China had GDP growth of 6.1% compared to the USA's 2.3%. That's almost 3 times the amount of growth. And this big discrepancy in terms of economic growth has been going on for more than 30 years, to the point where China is getting within distance of catching up now. The USA's GDP, as per the latest figures, is $21.44 trillion compared to China's $14.14 trillion. This means China are now within $7.3 trillion in nominal GDP of catching up. But unlike the USA, they're growing at a faster rate of knots. This is why you've got groups of people predicting that by 2030, China will overtake the USA in terms of total production. But, it's very important to take a step back and look at both countries as a whole. China has a population of around 1.4 billion. The USA's population is around 330 million. That means China has over 4 times the amount of people compared to the USA. Essentially, China can have 4 people working for every one of USA's person. This is a huge reason why they are growing at a much higher rate of clips compared to the USA. They just have more manpower. And it's the reason why you have people like Elon Musk predicting China's economy to be at least twice the size of the States. And Musk said, that will feel pretty strange is that the Chinese economy is probably going to be at least twice as big as the United States economy, maybe 3 times. If you have half the resources of the counterparty, then you better be
he's saying that because Africa is going to be included.
Real innovative. If you're not innovative, you're going to lose. It would only require getting to a GDP per capita half the size of the United States for their economy to be twice the size of ours. At the end of the day, China just has more to work with compared to the current superpower, the USA. And it's because of all of these resources that they're able to produce so much and sell a lot more than they need to bring in. I mean, just think about how many times you go to the shop to buy some random item. It could be any item. And then you look on the back of it and it says, made in China. There's a reason for that. It's because China has the manpower and the resources to produce all of those items. The USA each year tend to have a massive deficit in terms of trade. These figures are from 2013 to 2018, so they're a tad old, but as you can see, their exporting is around 3 to 4 times less than the amount that they import from China. This is because China are so good at producing things and producing them for cheap prices. But it's not just the USA that China are good at selling to, it's all around the world. And basically what this does for China is it brings them a lot of money. Now, China, they aren't done with their money. They are not like the avocado on toast, Starbucks spending university students that we see in this day and age. They're more like a frugal Graham Stephan. They just make a cheap coffee at home and invest the rest of your money. That's what they're doing. They're investing their spare amounts of cash. Anyone who's into real estate will tell you this. The Chinese love investing in real estate across the globe, but they invest in everything. China is currently a huge investor in the USA. They own $1.23 trillion of USA debt.
See that?
As well as this, the government likes investing in infrastructure. This increases their power.
So what they can do is they can collapse America when they get ready. Just off of what he just said. So like I said, it's a controlled demo job. They making it smooth, just like a surgery. They want the same people that's controlling America that's controlling China. So they want to make them. It's like I said, it's the 10th beast. The 8th beast. China left from Britain, came to America. The Edomites was already over here. They the ones behind it. Then now they built America up, made a whole bunch of money, and then they sent the resources behind America's greatness to China. And what we witnessing all this turmoil is they're pros at it. They're doing a slow demo job, bringing America down, bringing China up.
One great example of this is China's $1 trillion plan to dominate global trade. I'm talking, of course, about their One Belt, One Road system that they've been developing for over 7 years now. The One Belt, One Road system is a global infrastructure development plan investing in trade throughout more than 60 countries.
See that?
Basically, what they're doing is building trade routes across the land and sea that connects all of these countries to China. The Chinese government calls the initiative a bid to enhance regional connectivity and embrace a brighter future. But some people see this as China's plan for world domination. You know, these potentially participating countries with this One Belt, One Road system, they account for 62% of the entire world population and more than 30% of the world's GDP. Say what you want about the plan, what it is doing is strengthening China's hand across the globe. And you know, this does mark a change in China's strategy since it has started growing and competing for superpower status. Years ago, China just wanted to build and grow quietly. As former Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping famously said, it's important to hide your strengths and bide your time. With their new strategy, it appears that China are less afraid of speaking up and letting their presence known. Now, the other thing I should mention is 5G. China is working non-stop to be first in the world to have a nationwide 5G network. Not only do they want it nationwide, but they want their 5G infrastructure across the globe. Huawei, a Chinese company which is linked with the Chinese government, has plans to develop the network for 5G for a range of other big countries across the globe. Not only is this profitable for the country, but also it allows them to gain insights and get data from the potential billions of people using the network. However, Huawei's 5G technology, which is currently the leader in 5G, it has been banned from a range of countries, including the USA, Australia, and now Britain, which, in my opinion, is a good call. But this isn't the only field that China are competing heavily on. Previously, when it came to social media, it was American companies that became big throughout the globe. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Vine, etc. All of these are American companies. However, recently it's been China that has developed the latest app that has spread throughout the world. I'm talking about TikTok, of course, which is fast becoming one of the biggest social media apps. As you can see right now, it's #1 in the USA in terms of getting downloaded, and it's not even an American company, it's Chinese. So it just shows you how strong China is becoming with regards to technology and innovation. But I want to give you both sides of the picture. It's not guaranteed that China will become the next superpower, even though you've got the likes of Ray Dalio and Elon Musk, who think it is likely that they will. We've got to talk about the Chinese government's intervention, which does stifle their potential. Now, we all know that the Chinese government likes to play a strong hand in anything that has to do with business or finance. This means that any business done with a Chinese company is going to have some government intervention with it. This does not bode well with the free market side of the economy, and long term, it will likely stifle their growth. And it's because of this and other reasons why the world is not on board with China becoming the superpower. They don't like the fact that China have used underhand tactics to steal trade secrets from T-Mobile and other companies. Now, the world just does not like the communist government policies. They generally prefer democracy. Again,
Yeah, don't believe that. That this already been prophesied. So we want to go to the next video. Anybody got any comments on that? Yeah, so like I was saying, it's behind everybody, you know, they got everybody else stifling and focusing on other things where they started bringing their little plan in place. Okay, right here. So once you look at this map,
China is determined to become the world's next superpower. They already have plans in motion to make it happen. And Chinese President Xi Jinping has publicly declared that he wants China to be leading the world by 2050. We don't have to speculate about what that world's going to be like. China has made it clear how they want to reshape the world in their image and what a world would look like with the People's Republic of China in charge. Number 7, the United States will slump into a depression. The United States is going to be hit hard when they lose their place as the world superpower. They won't just quietly slip down into second place. They're going to plummet down into a massive economic depression. Right now, America is in a great place because its currency is used for almost all international trade. The US dollar is treated like the new gold standard, and that's keeping the American economy relatively stable. But China is fully intent on putting an end to America's cushy position. They have publicly declared their plan to have the Chinese yuan replace the US dollar as the standard for international trade. The US will almost overnight lose 2% of its economic output. Import prices will skyrocket, export prices will plummet, and countless people will lose their jobs. After all that, the US just might be begging Africa for aid. Number 6, university teachers will have to teach state-approved lessons. China is already trying to lure as many students as they can into their universities. They've already drawn in more African students than the US and UK combined, and they specifically target aspiring politicians. In Chinese schools, teachers are specifically instructed to teach
this video putting out true
Chinese and communist ideals. As China becomes the world superpower, there's every reason to believe that they'll keep it up, but that now they'll have the influence to lure in the politicians of the future from every part of the world. But it doesn't stop there. China has already started influencing schools in other countries too. They've set up their state-controlled Confucius Institutes in 1,500 different schools across 140 countries. These schools have Chinese teachers who are specifically instructed to support the China model of development and correct Western misconceptions in their classes. This means that while they have enough power, college isn't just going to change in China. You'll be learning Chinese state-approved lessons in every university around the world. Number 5, history will be forcibly rewritten. The Communist Party of China has very publicly declared its intention to rewrite history. In a speech, President Xi Jinping told his country that he was working to improve international communication so that they could present a true, multidimensional, and panoramic view of China. That might sound like a lot of fluff, but other documents from the People's Republic show exactly what that means. China is determined to rewrite what they consider Western misconceptions of history, or in other words, to replace the world's perception of history with theirs. One of the bullet points on their agenda is to change our concept of Chairman Mao and to get the world to accept him as a wise, influential leader. They want to break down the perception that the rise of communism in China brought problems and make it seem gentler. And they want to get rid of the idea that the Tiananmen Square massacre was an injustice. Number 4, mainstream movies will all be state-approved propaganda. A night at the movies when China is in power is going to be like a night at the Chinese propaganda ministry. China has been blunt about their goals. They want the movies and theaters to, as Xi Jinping put it, extol our party, our country, our people, and our heroes, and to make sure China is portrayed as a civilized place featuring a rich history with good government and a developed economy. The Chinese state has started their own film production company to try to get those movies out there. They're already working on making their own movies. They recently got Matt Damon, for example, to star in their film, The Great Wall. And they've already managed to get other countries to rewrite their movies to appease them. The villain in Red Dawn, the 2012 version, was changed from China to North Korea, while Looper was set in a futuristic China. Number 3, Africa will become a greater world power.
Come on.
China's rise won't just be good for China. The whole balance of power is going to change, and one of the biggest differences is going to be a whole lot more power in Africa. China is currently the biggest source of African aid in the world. They've invested billions of dollars into the continent, and they're only planning on spending more. By 2025, they're projected to have sent Africa $1 trillion. Western countries have too many moral qualms to invest that much money in, But China doesn't care what Africa does. Africa has already set itself up as one of China's closest trade partners. And in exchange, China has lobbied to get more African states in the UN, which means that as China rises, Africa's going to climb up with it. Number 2, Japan will be cut out of international society. No country feels China's rise more deeply than Japan, according to Sheila A. Smith of the Council on Foreign Relations. China's pathway to power means more to Japan than any other country. When China rises to the top, Japan is either going to have to submit to their will or get cut out. China still hasn't forgiven Japan for the atrocities they committed during World War II, partly because Japan has never fully apologized for them. Japanese atrocities still play a major role in Chinese propaganda, with the state making sure that their citizens never forget that the Japanese are their enemies. So far, Japan hasn't shown any signs of backing down in their many disputes with China. But if they don't give China what they want, they're going to have a hard time when China takes over. Number 1, China and the United States may go to war. China has boasted that it's enjoying what it calls a peaceful rise, but it's unlikely it'll stay that way. Few global powers have ever passed on the torch without a violent conflict, and there's little reason to think that the US and China will break the mold. China's getting ready for it. One of Xi Jinping's goals for 2050 is to build a world-class military that, in his words, can fight and win, even against the United States of America. So far, though, it doesn't seem like the US is just going to take China's rise lying down. The two countries have been locked in an aggressive back and forth of political spats, tariffs, and struggles to keep each other in check. There's every reason to think that this will all build to a new Cold War, or, if things really go sour, a brutal, violent conflict that will only leave one superpower standing. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments? No comments?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, you can see it. You can see it. It's unfolding right in front of everybody's face, but they ain't got it. They ain't focusing in.
Nah, yeah, they laid it all out in one video. I was like, damn.
Right. So I'm gonna go back over here right quick. I got 2 more videos. They about 2 minutes apiece. Let me go back over here right quick. And so it's nothing new when you understand who's who the Lord of hosts is, who Yahweh is, and how he operate. Like I was saying right here, when you go to this image, right? We know that Nebuchadnezzar, this the head of gold right here. And the only reason you start with Nebuchadnezzar is because that's when Israel became a nation. So because you had the Assyrian Empire before him, before him. Before him, you had the Assyrian Empire and you had Egypt. But the only reason he started with these 4 beasts right here was because Israel became a nation during this time right here. So they was in Babylon, right? The Israelites, they was in captivity in Babylon. Well, when you go to Daniel 9, Daniel prayed because the 70 years was up. But what happened was Cyrus came on the scene. So the Chaldeans took them into captivity, but the Chaldeans ain't the one that released them. The Medes and Persians came on the scene. Cyrus came in and took Babylon by overnight. So the Medes and Persians released the Israelites. So we're in captivity right now, right? So everybody looking for the American president. It ain't the American president, it's the Chinese. Chinese gonna release us. Chinese the one building up Africa. Chinese the one need us in Africa. America on his way out. So, like I said, when they went in, Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuzaradan took them to Babylon, but Cyrus, the one released them. Let's read that right quick. Let me read it. Let me read it. So I'm in Ezra right quick. Okay. Ezra. So it says in chapter 1 of Ezra. Now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, the Babylonians, Nebuchadnezzar, and the Chaldeans took them into captivity. They was there for 70 years. Then, now, in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus. See that? So he's doing the same thing now. He's stirring up these Chinese. So he says, the Lord stirred us up, says the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled. The Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, the Persians, that he made a proclamation throughout all the kingdoms and put it in writing. Thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven, have given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he have charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judea. Who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him. Let him go up. He releasing them. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, and build a house of the Lord God. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. So the Persians are the one released him. So there ain't nothing new under the sun. So he bringing these Chinese on the scene. And he didn't gave all these he didn't get the Chinese free reign over the world. So the Chinese got an obligation to the Israelites. So let's look at it. Okay. So now we're gonna look at these last two videos and then close out. So so let me go look at this right quick. I mean, so you have to ask yourself, just how much do China own America? I was telling you about how they a couple of years ago on New Year's they lit the Empire State Building up in Chinese with the Chinese flag. So you have to ask yourself, why can they do that? So let's look at it.
Chinese government and private financiers have been sinking more and more money into America's economy, and those investments don't seem to be slowing. So how much of the U.S. does China own? With the recent boom in Chinese credit availability, public and private Chinese investors have been seeking a safe, profitable harbor for their newfound spending ability. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has been losing value in comparison to the Chinese yuan. Coupled with a creeping housing bubble, the government is desperate to
They ain't doing all that building for
Experts
nothing.
say there has never been a better time for China to invest in America. In recent years, Chinese nationals have been buying up real estate around the country at increasingly higher prices than other foreign investors, especially in major urban areas like Manhattan, Los Angeles, and the San Francisco Bay Area. In February 2015, a Chinese insurer agreed to buy a Manhattan hotel for $230 million. According to reports, that price tag makes it the most highly valued hotel in the U.S., with each room costing about $2 million. Last year alone, Chinese buyers spent $22 billion in the housing market, a nearly two-thirds increase from 2012. Chinese companies are also buying existing businesses across the U.S. Chinese conglomerate, the Shineway Group, purchased the largest pork producer in the United States for $4.7 billion. The acquisition made the privately owned Chinese meat company a major employer in some rural parts of the U.S. In North Carolina, 1 in 10 hog farms are now owned by the Chinese pork producer. Similar deals have given China unprecedented access to America's workforce. In 2012, Chinese President Xi Jinping and U.S. Vice President Joe Biden agreed to support Chinese construction companies in rebuilding America's infrastructure. For example, the New Bay Bridge connecting Oakland and San Francisco was built almost entirely in Shanghai before being shipped to the West Coast. Other projects, like an expansive New York subway refurbishment, have also been outsourced to China Construction America Incorporated, which has invested over $2 billion of its own funds in American infrastructure. Overall, since 2005, China has sunk more than $70 billion into U.S. housing, technology, finance, and energy. Wondering what's up with the rest of the United States debt? We broke it down in this video right here. Or to learn more about China, try the link below.
Okay, so we see right here, they when they get ready, they got America on a yo-yo string. When they get ready, they can pull the plug on them. So they got everybody else fooled thinking that some kind of battle going on between America and China, but China already been bought them out. It's just a matter of them, of the timing, how they want to make the transition. And you know, we at that point. It's the same way I said with the Chaldeans. They went to sleep that night, had a big feast with Belshazzar, Belshazzar, whatever his name was, and he went to sleep that night. And he woke up the next morning, and Cyrus was running Babylon. Overnight, transition went down. So let's look at this right quick. So it's like I said, when you're looking at this and you see all how the dots being connected, is America don't stand no chance. Okay, and this is the last one right here. You know, we're gonna talk about it for a minute, then we'll close out. This the telltale right here.
Was made possible by Brilliant. Start learning with Brilliant for 20% off by being one of the first 200 to sign up at brilliant.org/Wendover. Political alliances manifest themselves here, on the voting floor of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, New York. In this room, countries impose legislation that carries weight worldwide, and so what happens in this room is the physical materialization of the world's politics. 47 years ago, exactly that happened when one of the General Assembly's most consequential votes occurred. China, you see, essentially has two governments. There's the Republic of China, which used to control the mainland and Taiwan, but today only administers Taiwan, and there's the People's Republic of China, which controls the mainland. Both claim to be the rightful governments of all of the Chinese territory, both Taiwan and the mainland, and so back in 1971, the United Nations had to decide which government would represent China. Essentially, the question was which government was the rightful leader of the territory, as there could only be one in the United Nations. The US was the main superpower opposing the People's Republic representing China, as it had a strong political and military alliance with the Republic of China government, and so the vote was essentially the US's sphere of influence versus the world. Among the 35 countries that voted against the People's Republic were much of Africa, the Central African Republic, Chad, Gabon, Liberia, Niger, South Africa, and plenty of others that sided with the US. Despite the US's effort, the resolution ended up passing, and the representative government for China in the UN was switched to the People's Republic of China. But what's interesting about this vote is not the result, it's who voted against the People's Republic. Since that 1971 vote, you see, something has changed. In 2007, the UN General Assembly met once again to vote on whether to adopt a resolution condemning the human rights situation in North Korea. As one of North Korea's strongest allies, this vote was China and its sphere of influence versus the world. In this vote, though, only Burundi, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Ghana, Kenya, Lesotho, Liberia, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritania, and Tanzania voted against China. All the 43 other African countries either abstained or voted no along with China, because in the 40 years between these votes, political ties changed. Africa no longer bows to the US. Much of the continent is now economically and politically aligned with the world's fastest emerging superpower, China.
So we see in the earlier previous video, they own all over half of America, and then we see they own Africa. So we ain't got no business looking toward America to do nothing for us. It's China gonna do it.
Simple answer for why this is because China has pumped huge amounts of money into the continent of Africa. They're buying allies. For example, China built a $3.2 billion railway in Kenya, trekking the 300 miles from Nairobi, the capital, to Mombasa, the second largest city and primary port, in 4 hours and 30 minutes. That's faster than what the fastest train in the US, the Acela Express, takes to travel the equivalent distance from Philadelphia to Boston. China built a $526 million dam in Guinea, which helped push the country from having constant power shortages to making more energy than it needs and selling the extra capacity to its neighbors. China also built a $475 million light rail system in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, the first of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa, designed as a way to combat the capital's crippling traffic. These are...
So let's look at that. So we talked about earlier they had all the drama going on with the flights to get into Africa, how long it took. Now they got a 10-hour flight from Atlanta to this place right here. Think that's a coincidence?
Are only a sampling. There are literally hundreds of others of Chinese infrastructure projects in Africa each year. All across the continent, China is playing a part in projects both big and small that are transforming African economies. It's important to note that these projects are not, though, free. Each of these three were financed by loans granted by China's state-owned and controlled Export-Import Bank, and these loans do, of course, need to be paid back by the countries granted them. Large African infrastructure projects, though, would be viewed as risky by any traditional bank and would therefore struggle to get financed, but China's Export-Import Bank doesn't care. Assuming cooperation between the Chinese and African countries' governments, this bank will give low-interest or no-interest loans to African countries so they can build these trains or dams or other projects. These loans are therefore considered a form of foreign aid since China doesn't expect to get all their money back, at least adjusted for inflation, since they're not charging much interest and there's a high risk of default. Of course, China isn't just financing these projects out of kindness. For each of them, there's a political goal behind it. You see, the country of China is running out of growth potential. Its era of double-digit year-over-year GDP growth is over as it makes the shift from industrializing to industrialized. Africa, meanwhile, is one of the least developed areas of the world, and a lack of development actually makes fast growth easy. The first step of economic development for many countries is natural resource exploitation. Nearly every country has some level of natural resources that can be used to kickstart growth, but first they need to have enough money to build the infrastructure and take the steps needed to gather these natural resources. As everyone knows, it takes money to make money, and China has money. By investing in African mining and farming, China can profit off Africa's growth and fuel the business back in China that requires minerals and food. But in addition to serving as a source of natural resources, Africa has another resource: labor. It might seem strange that China, the country that the world uses for low-cost manufacturing, is looking for a labor source elsewhere, but that is exactly what it's doing. China is a victim of its own success. The economic development that its manufacturing industry brought pushed a large segment of its population into the middle class, which raised labor costs countrywide. It's not bad news. China as a country has shifted from having a low-skilled to a medium-skilled workforce as their education level has improved, but for the lowest cost, lowest skilled manufacturing work, the country of China is no longer competitive. Therefore, Chinese manufacturing firms are setting up their own operations in Africa, one of the cheapest and lowest skilled labor markets in the world. Today, China is now the largest trading partner with Africa as a whole. Despite China being a vastly larger country than the US in population, the US and China both trade a similar value of goods worldwide each year. In this case, though, whereas $48 billion worth of goods were exchanged between the US and Africa in 2016, China traded $128 billion worth of goods, nearly 3 times as much. Now, the whole idea of setting up a structure of power over other less developed states in order to gather resources and use their labor force might sound familiar, because that's largely what colonialism was. The motives behind European powers expanding their territory to less developed nations in the 15th through 20th centuries were remarkably similar to the motivations between China's growing economic influence in the developing world today. Despite what some may say, there is empirical evidence that China has been using these infrastructure investments to affect worldwide politics. It's been found that if an African country recognizes Taiwan as a...
So what you have to understand about that, like he said, the same tactics they used when they colonized Africa before through the Europeans, they're doing it now. That's because the people that's behind it is these Illuminized bankers. Esau, he the one. He got China as a fronting for him, just like with the ships, the ships that he had for the transatlantic slave trade. They own the ships. They got somebody else thinking somebody else owned the ships, but they the ones getting all the money.
Mm-hmm.
They receive, on average, 2.7 fewer Chinese infrastructure projects within their borders each year. Conversely, if an African country votes overwhelmingly along with China in the United Nations General Assembly, they receive 1.8 more infrastructure projects each year. Considering that the General Assembly is an equal representative body where each country gets 1 vote, no matter if they have 1 million residents or 1 billion, China is getting a lot of influence for, in the grand scheme of things, not a lot of money. China touts the fact that their foreign investment and aid is no strings attached. Unlike other institutions that give low or no interest loans to developing countries like the International Monetary Fund or World Bank, China gives loans with no requirements on factors like respect of human rights or democratic elections. Of course, this data linking infrastructure investment with political leanings shows that there are indeed hidden strings that require benefit for China rather than benefit for the receiving country. Western powers are understandably concerned about this shift in power dynamics towards a country with vastly different ideals. In 2017, China entered a select club as it opened a military base in Djibouti. While 4 other countries have bases in Djibouti, France, Italy, Japan, and the US, this base was unique as it was China's first base abroad, and those by themselves, military bases abroad, are unique. Only 15 of the world's most developed and militarily powerful countries worldwide have them, and now China is one of them. Although Western powers might be worried for the wrong reasons. The government of China is clearly putting a lot of focus and money into Africa, but not as much as you think based off the result they're getting. Vast amounts of influence over a whole continent. There are 2 key numbers to look at. In 2015, China loaned just $12 billion to African countries. In the same year, the country invested a mere $3 billion into the continent. That's just not much, but the reason China is gaining this enormous influence over the continent is because the Chinese government no longer has to force this phenomenon. Private Chinese industry is taking hold of Africa. Of the estimated 10,000 Chinese businesses in Africa, 90% of them are privately owned rather than one of the numerous Chinese state-run companies. The Chinese companies in Africa are actually making money, some substantially so. The Chinese government certainly has provided a considerable push to the industrialization of Africa, but now that that's done, economic forces are pushing the initiative further forward. Chinese small business is gripping the continent. Much of the Western world is ignoring the prospects of the continent, ignoring that business in Africa can now be as profitable as business in China was when its period of tremendous growth began. Right now, Africa is establishing itself as the source of labor and resources for China, and so until the West pays attention, Africa will continue inching forward on its path towards becoming China's China. One of the techniques used to predict the GDP or GDP growth of a country, which is of course used to decide which country to invest in, is machine learning. For example, here's what a machine learning model predicted a country's GDP would be over 3 months, and here's what it actually was. It forecasted the country's GDP far better than humans did. The science behind predictions like this is complex, but fascinating. If you want to learn how it works, though, the best place to do so is Brilliant.org. Their machine learning course makes this advanced concept simple because their simple explanations, illuminating graphics, and thought-provoking questions break a concept down into small packages and then builds it back up to the final result. They truly are experts in successfully teaching complex topics. They also have plenty of other fascinating courses on topics like computational biology, number theory, artificial neural networks, and more. You can start learning.
Okay. So with that being said, anybody got a comment before we get off the line?
Lord,
what's that?
I said the Lord of hosts is righteous.
Right. Is this something?
That's perfect. That's crazy. Like after all that, all the money is just pouring right back into Africa.
Right, exactly.
From America to China and then pouring right into Africa, which is like normally the most neglected continent in the world.
Right, exactly. But not no more because they got planes.
Right.
And we included. So like I said, it's just like the serpent. He ain't gonna, you think he gonna come in the garden and then he came in the garden to do one thing. So he did just what he came in to do. And that's exactly what they're gonna do. They're not gonna get to the point where they're gonna take over everything and then all of a sudden change their mind.
Right.
It's all everything in place. So,
So,
people are gonna use and judge them too. Judge America. Go ahead.
I was just saying one of the things I heard in the video was China looking at Africa as cheap labor.
Right.
I'm just not clear on. I know that China is fronting for the international bankers are fronting for Esau.
Right.
But China is looking to gain what? Because China already has America I mean, America is in debt to China beyond what they can pay.
Right, but it's a way in which to do that, because you can do it the wrong way, and it be repercussions to the whole world. You can cause an avalanche. So, like I was saying, these people, it's been passed on from one generation to the next. They know how to do. We don't even think on that level. They know how to dictate a country and how to bring a country down and bring a country up. They know how to do all that. They've been doing it for 4,000 or 5,000 years. We don't even we don't come across that type of understanding, because we ain't been dealing with that on that level. But that's what they do with that on the level for I don't know when. It's like I was saying about you got guys that own a whole city block,
right?
2 city blocks downtown New York. Come on, man, he ain't thinking like you.
Right.
I'm saying you can't even begin to deal with him. He thinking he got, you know what I'm saying? You can't deal with him. So imagine these people, they've been controlling countries in 4 or 5 countries at one time. So they on the whole. That's why the Most High got to bring them down.
Okay.
They over our head.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He ain't thinking like we thinking.
Right. Okay.
They diabolical, because they want to control the world for all the wrong reasons. They wicked as hell. They ain't trying to. It's like with they got a whole system set up with little kids, little boys, and all this stuff. Man, they ain't they ain't thinking like you thinking. You sitting there, like I said, it's the DNA. You sitting there Israelite, and you in captivity. You got a righteous spirit, and all that. You ain't thinking like that, but that's how they thinking, and they've been dealing with that for so long till they know how to. Just like we know how to go and break down the scriptures, they know how to go and flip a country upside down and get $600-700 billion. They know how to do all that. They've been doing it. Money ain't nothing to them. How to generate money on that level, on that level.
Right. Yeah. It's like what you said. I just want to pick back off what you said earlier. You saying that's why God has to bring them down. And I heard somebody say it one way like this. They say, see, those people see themselves as a God. So it takes a God to bring a God down, even though they, And then the other part of that is, like you say, sometimes we have compassion in our heart for children, when the Most High say, if those children are descendants of wicked people, they got to go. You know what I'm saying? It's like it takes God's way of knowing and understanding the degree of wickedness to deal with them. We go in there and say, having compassion, say, oh no, don't shoot the little girl, or whatever. And the little girl is from Satan's seed.
Right, exactly. Right.
But that's the compassion in our DNA to be like that.
Right. So you can't apologize for that. So that's why you learn to trust in the Most High, and he gonna do it. Like I said, they didn't know he was gonna come in and take the Pharaoh and trick him out there in the water and drown him. They had no idea. Just like with the Nile, you know what I'm saying? That's the Egypt's whole source of their whole source of how their whole country worked. What the Lord host did, he came there turning into blood.
Right.
So you can't do that. But he knows just what to do to get their mind right.
Right.
Yeah. Just like this pandemic. Like I said, you gotta look around and look at what's happening. You can't even nobody can't go nowhere. Our way of life can change overnight, but nobody really focusing in on it. You can't do what you used to do no more. That pandemic just shut it all down. Yeah, so you shut the churches down and everything. The bars, everything been shut out. And you better watch it. You better go in Walmart sideways.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know just how to shut it down. That's just like what he doing right now with these Chinese. You know what to do. Yeah. So anybody else got anything before we go?
Yeah. To me, it's like their focus is on the worldly type of things.
Right.
Material things, but
right, domination.
Right. And it's like the stock market crash. They start jumping out the window, cutting their throat, killing themselves, shooting themselves. We just, we are cool, calm, collective. Sure, we got problems too, but we'll be tripping.
Right, exactly.
They be straight tripping.
Right. That's how you have to, when you get understanding of that. He said that his people oftentimes went down into Egypt, and the Egyptian oppressed them. So who is this Egyptian? The Egyptian that's Mizraim. Mizraim comes out of from the giants.
Right.
So you say, what are you talking about? That's what you just said. These people are descendants from those giants. They're oppressive people. They like to oppress people, oppress the Most High's creation. That's the spirit they got. From like I said, from having a whole system set up to abduct little kids and all that, and molesting little kids, all that. That's the spirit that came from those giants. And those descendants from those giants are still here today. It's just that the height ain't there no more. But they still have that. That's where you get the word oppressor from. They have oppressive spirit. They're not gonna just come into a place and see and it's everything going good. They're gonna leave it alone. They got to tamper with it. It's like they single-handedly killed off all the buffalo. It was buffalo everywhere down here, but they came just to shoot them. And they might get a hoof off of it and leave the whole rest of the buffalo laying there to rot. They did that with the elephants.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I missed the class. I had to travel, but what's the name of it so I can watch it, please?
It's let's see, what does China have to do with the end days, end times?
What does China have to do with the end times?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let me hit you with this line and we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. I'll see y'all on Friday.
Okay, Leonard, that lion sound kind of weak. What's going on?
I got two different versions of it. I use the other one as the start of the show.
Okay, all right now. I need to hear that roar.
Okay.
All right, love you guys.